Yesterday, I believe Hulk Hogan was the first person to break the news.
Yeah.
It was like eight. It was like eight something yesterday morning. I saw it come across, and I'm like, "Hold on, timeout." So obviously, we immediately just try figuring out if it's real or not. And I think it was about an hour or so later. Obviously, Joe Laurinaitis, animal of the Road Warriors, real world animal, as I once called him. Great moment for me. Um, but passed away at the age of 60. Of course, one half the Road Warriors Legion of Doom, career spanning over 4 decades. Just some of the highlights: All Japan Tag Champ, AWA Tag Champ, NWA World Tag Champ, and three-time six-man Tag Champ. He was a three-time WWF/WWE Tag Champ. WWE Hall of Fame Class 2011, of course, with Paul Ellering and Hawk. The Road Warriors were the number one tag team in the PWI 100 of the PWI years back in 2003. They were in the NWA Hall of Fame 2012, NWA Legends Hall of Heroes 2016, and this year's Cauliflower Alley Club's Tag Team Award. So, and that's just a sampling of the accolades of the career of Animal. Just we'll go around the room here. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind? Road Warriors, Animal, and specifically, obviously. I think for me, just I was never, I was always a WWF kid, so it wasn't until the late '80s, early '90s, right when I started watching wrestling, that they came into the WWF. And as a 5-6 year old kid at the time, the spiked shoulder pads and things. And I remember they had like the foam ones in the WWE shop, and I can't remember if I got a set of those or not. Not that they would have fit over my unbelievably large head even at that age. But they were just something very different, I feel like, than what the WWF had at the time. And and then obviously throughout the years, and I think even their return in the WWF when they were like LOD 2000 and they had Sonny with them, and then after Hawk's passing, he's teaming with Heidenreich and just stayed in the business. And it was a career that stood the test of time. And I thought that their episode of Dark Side of the Ring that aired just this springtime was a pretty neat look into their career. But I mean, just when you talk tag teams, and it, I put the question of the week for this week, which is the Mount Rushmore of tag teams. I had that scheduled on our social media since last weekend, but it's the timing turns out to be just coincidental. But I mean, you're talking one of the best tag teams of all time. Ryan, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, just kind of looking back, I was really blessed to have worked a show with Animal when we did a show with the Pro Wrestling Empire. We've also, I think it was Matt and I, it was like two tables down from us at one of the Icon shows, and just a really fun, upbeat guy to be around. And really what stood out is, and again, I'm 6'3", 320, 330, but like he's just so big. Like WWE guys are just so big. That's really what sticks out, is he just seemed like a really fun, genuine guy, the way he interacted with some other people. And it was just really awesome to be able to like work a show with Road Warrior Animal.
Tim, how about you?
Animal's always going to be, at least in my mind, one of the blueprints of like the original pro wrestler. Big, meaty guy, strong. Looked like he could actually beat you up. And that's what the big appeal of the Road Warriors were. I mean, you got to remember when they were debuting with Jim Crockett Promotions, they were beating teams before they cut the theme off. They're coming out to Iron Man and beating a team while Iron Man's going, and then they're done. I'm always gonna remember Animal's Power Slam, literally like one of the best power slams in all of the history of wrestling. Like, I put his power slam up there with like Earthquake's power slam. Like, to me, Earthquake's power slam number 1, Animal's number 2. Actually number 3. There's a guy in the middle. We'll talk about him one day, probably in the next segment. But either way, Animal's a great power guy, really solid in the tags. You mentioned him working primarily with Hawk, with his time with Heidenreich as well. You also got to remember the point in times in his career, like in the mid to late 90s, he was out with a back issue. He had struggled with back problems for a while, and then he comes back and he goes away and he comes back. That's why we got Kensuke Sasaki as the Power Warrior in the mid 90s.
That's right.
Because just Animal was out. But definitely sad to hear, especially the timing of it all, when it got announced and how it got announced. It's really horrible to hear. And I mean, I hope there's no foul play. I hope it's just a big dude just having a heart attack for just being big, and that's about it.
Yeah, you know,
that's what I hope. But definitely a huge loss for
yeah, and it definitely, you know, it definitely sounds like it was something sudden like that, because I know a post from his son that had played in the NFL, James Laurinaitis, you know, he on Instagram, so they didn't have a chance to say goodbye. So it sounds like it was a sudden thing. You know, unfortunately, with a lot of the guys from our childhood, you know, it was, you know, it tended to be kind of heart attacks and things like that. But if you're following along with us live here in the video, leave us a chat, maybe a thought, memory of Animal and the Road Warriors, obviously. Matt, your thoughts here.
Yeah, so a lot of what's being shared this week was just, or yesterday was just a lot of good memories. You know, conventions, shows, a lot of people in the industry just kind of sharing what he meant to them, just as like kind of a voice. You know, always willing to spend the time with a fan to just kind of tell stories. That's what sticks out to me the most, is just the amount of time. Like Ryan said, you know, a couple tables down from us at a convention, and the line moved slow because he like made sure to take the time and just kind of interact with everyone who was there to meet him. So it just kind of showed how important the business was to him still, like years after he retired, and the time that he would spend with wrestlers, kind of giving them pointers, telling them, you know, how to come up in the industry. And that's a lot of what I saw on social media yesterday, was just different wrestlers sharing, you know, a moment that they had with him. And there were tons of them. I mean, obviously, you know, with us having some involvement in wrestling, we're connected to a lot of them, but my post feed was just flooded with like people sharing memories. So, you know, it's definitely a big loss for wrestling. You know, very unexpected. I mean, you could just kind of know who he was. You know, you say Road Warrior Animal, and like, people get it. They're like, oh yeah, I know who that is, even if they're not big wrestling fans. Right.
Yeah, you know, and Devin here in the chat says, you know, he was at on that same show that the PWE show, and said he seemed like a really nice guy when he had the kind of a split second interaction with him. And you know, I think that's kind of been the theme of everything that I've seen from people, is that just seemed like a super nice guy. Intern Mark, how about you?
Well, let's see. I cannot remember that PWE show that he was on. That must have been what I missed. I think I only missed one. But anyway, I never got to meet Animal or Hawk, but I did see them perform live a few times. And remember the one time when I first saw them when they came to the WWF, They were teaming up with the Ultimate Warrior for a TV taping, and I think they took on all 3 members of Demolition at the time. And I remember the place just going nuts when they came out. Because even in the early 90s, I guess it was like 91, 92, they were still just as popular as ever. But even people who weren't wrestling fans, or they were flipping through channels and you saw the Road Warriors, they were a team. When you looked at them, you'd be like, okay, maybe that other team's kind of not so sure about them, but that's real. But those guys are real because they were that tough and really that good in the ring. They were incredible, and it is a huge loss to the wrestling world. So it's sad to see them go.
Yeah, it's you know, and you know, it's been a sad week locally here in the wrestling community here in Central PA. Chris Valentine was a fan that has been a lot of local shows. I know he used to watch our shows here from time to time and comment and interact with us. Unfortunately, passed away from cancer, and friend of the show, former guest, the Red Scorpion, lost his mother this week. So it's been a rough week. So for everybody, who's hurting and everything right now, just our thoughts are with you and hang in there. But obviously, Animal. Any other thoughts? I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about the Road Warriors coming up here in a little bit when we talk about our question of the week, because I think it's going to be hard to talk about the best tag teams of all time without talking about them. But if there's any other specific things about Animal that we can add them here, or we can move on.
I've got just two little things.
Sure.
Always found it very interesting that Hawk was a Minnesota guy, and Animal was from Philadelphia, but the team themselves always billed from Chicago. I never really know why. I don't know why. I've tried to look it up this week since the passing, and I've not been able to find the reason that they're billed from Chicago.
I think it's where they met each other.
Is that okay? Just a story.
If remember, I'm trying to remember.
I thought they met in Memphis or in Minnesota because they were both bouncers at Grandma B's.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, I'm not sure why.
But it's weird because I don't think I gotta do some quick research.
You
but
can, and I'm not upset.
Was Ellering from Chicago? Is that why?
I mean, obviously, it's just their LOD. I don't think they were, as the Road Warriors, built from Chicago. Maybe they were. I don't even know.
Lex Luger was also billed from Chicago too.
It's the Windy City. It's very breezy.
Yeah. What?
Also, while you're looking that up, it's a neat little fact, I suppose. Animal was actually in the main event of 2001's WCW Sin pay-per-view.
The last pay-per-view.
And it just kind of goes to where
next to last, yeah.
The second to last pay-per-view. He was in the Four Corners WCW World Heavyweight Championship match as a singles wrestler. He took on Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett, and Sid Vicious, in which Scott Steiner won that crazy Four Corners match in under 8 minutes.
What? A Four Corners match in under 8 minutes. That sounds like the end of WCW. And I looked up.
Sure does.
I looked up Ellering. He was a Minnesota guy as well. So yeah, I'm not necessarily sure where the Chicago thing came from. Maybe it's just.
It'd be somebody in the comments. They can email us, whatever our email is.
Yeah. 3CountThursday@gmail, or if you're if you get it while we're on the air, hit us up in the comments. But yeah, I think maybe because I love SummerSlam 90 when after the LOD spoiled the tag team match for Demolition. I just remember like the way Animal delivered the promo, like the tempo of it, like the tempo and like time signature, if you will, like if it was in music terms, it was very distinct. At least that one, that's the one that stands out to me. But yeah, definitely kind of one of a kind guy. Those guys were definitely set themselves apart. So, again, passing away yesterday at the age of 60. So sad news there. But we're gonna press on here, and again, like and share the video if you're following along with us. We'd appreciate that. We do have 3 birthdays. Stephanie McMahon, born in 1976. Shane Thorne, you may know him now as Slapjack, was born in 1985. And Sonya Deville, former guest of this show, 1993. So those are your birthdays, and we have a couple of items that happened. Back in 1963, Gory Guerrero, father of Eddie, Hector Chavo, and Mando Guerrero, and grandfather of Chavo Guerrero Jr., defeats Ali Bay in El Paso, Texas, to win the NWA World Light Heavyweight title for a second time. In 1984, Greg Valentine defeats Tito Santana in London, Ontario, Canada, to win the WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight title. The Santana-Valentine feud would continue to rage on for almost a full year, with Santana winning the title back on July 7th of 1985 in a tag match. In 2000, WWF Unforgiven took place at the then First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The show was headlined by The Rock defeating Chris Benoit, Kane, and The Undertaker in a fatal 4-way match to retain the WWF Championship. This one also, if you remember, had a hardcore title, hardcore battle royal that saw the title change hands 3 times during the battle royal. Don't remember that at all, but apparently it happened. In 2006, at the conclusion of TNA's No Surrender pay-per-view, a video package announces that former WWF World Champion and Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle would be coming to the company. TNA then issued a press release announcing the signing of Angle and the fact that Spike TV had decided to give the company a primetime slot on Thursday nights. And finally, in 2010, former Ring of Honor champion Tyler Black makes his final appearance on the independent circuit, having signed a WWE developmental deal. Of course, you now know Tyler Black as Seth Rollins. These are all the items that occurred September 24th in pro wrestling history.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was Kurt Angle Day.
Yeah, I had no clue myself.
That entire saga, like him getting his release, like his outright release from WWE, because do you guys remember the story? Were you guys in wrestling at that point? Like,
I think that was kind of my downtime ish.
okay.
So it doesn't stick out to me.
So Kurt Angle running hard, running fast, and he's in the ECW brand, the WWE ECW. WWE wants him to take a sabbatical to get clean, get right, and Kurt's like, nah, don't want to.
And he's like,
And
hey, screw you, pal.
Well, and WWE was like, we really want you to take some time off. Kurt was like, you know what? I don't want a sabbatical. Give me my release. I'll go to rehab. I'll get cleaned up and I'll come back. So they gave him his outright release.
Wow.
No questions asked. Just cut him. Let him go. And then immediately shows up on Impact and cuts that promo after No Sacrifice.
Wow.
It's real. It's damn real. And everybody's like, what in the heck is going on?
Who the hell is this?
Like,
See, if Jim had been a fan of wrestling back then, Kurt Angle would still be dead to him.
it's true. It's damn true.
Why? What did Kurt do to you?
Oh, because he left the WWE, obviously.
Oh, come on, man.
Hey, I gotta stay on brand.
That's very true.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm trying to think when was whenever WrestleMania 26 was, which would have been it would have been like 2010. That's what got me.
2009?
It would have been 2010.
2010.
It would have been
Yeah.
2010. That's really what got me back into it. So, I mean, I was aware. Like, I it's not that I was like completely gone from watching wrestling, but it wasn't anywhere close to the level that I watch it now or prior to like 2003. It was just like a 6-7 year window that I was kind of out of the game a bit because I was too busy being in college and then being a drain on life.
Sure.
But I mean, I was like I said, I was aware Angle went there, but I didn't know any of the backstory.